Have you ever felt like you had to make decisions, right? You're in or surrounded by people that may or may not be high on the scale of NPD. Your gut's telling you that they are, and you have to make some big decisions, but you just feel spun in so many directions that you don't know what to do. If you've ever felt that way, then you're going to want to watch this video. This is my weekly video response. This is something new that I'm doing for anyone that sends me in their situation. I'm going to read their email and then give you my video response for their situation. And in this case, this email was sent in by someone that is 19 years old. I stress that because I think it is so awesome that younger ones are learning about these dynamics faster. So in her email, she's really struggling to understand what is toxic behavior, whether or not it's in her head or if this is really happening. And most importantly, the things that she wants to do, the decisions that she wants to make, she's not even sure if they're the right decisions, if she's allowed to feel that way or not, which, by the way, anytime I hear somebody wondering if they are allowed to think, feel, or do a certain thing, that's always a red flag of gaslighting. But regardless, we're going to dive into this email. So I'm going to read it and then I'll give my advice after. Hello, Mrs. Michele. I watch a lot of your videos and they open my eyes a lot. You said we could email you and that you read them weekly and go in depth on your channel. You described exactly how I felt in the last video when you said you're not allowed to be upset or question the narcissist. That's exactly how I felt. Like the toxic person doesn't allow, or they make you feel like you have no right to be upset or hurt with their actions. Another thing I was wondering is how can you tell if a person or family member is a narcissist? Here's my story. I'm 19 years old currently and about to turn 20. But back in 2020, when I was 18 years old, my mom passed away. So I stayed with my oldest brother who's in his 30s. I would notice instances when he would invalidate me. I felt like when we got into an argument, he invalidated how I felt. I also noticed instances where in the beginning of me living with my oldest brother, he did something that hurt my feelings and I cried and I told him about it. And I told him that I was going to go live with my aunt again. And he apologized and said he wouldn't do it anymore. But then he did. Like to this day, he still says hurtful things, but I don't let it hurt my feelings, even though I do get confrontational towards him when he says something to me that I don't like. I also noticed something you said in your last video. You said the toxic person, once you trust them again, will go back to their old ways. I think that's what happened. Also, I noticed that you said the abuse cycle isn't always bad. I noticed my oldest brother sometimes is nice to me and sometimes is mean to me. I have a hard time trusting myself, Michele. I wonder, is this abuse or is this just in my head? Am I overthinking it? Also, is it another sign of a toxic person when you feel like you have to hide certain things? Like maybe you have to go outside to make a phone call or you have to hide certain items you bought because the person might get angry. Is it a sign of a toxic person that you're walking on eggshells around them? Or when you don't feel emotionally safe, or you have to hold back certain information in your personal life, or you feel intimidated by the person. Or if, like, say, for example, the person goes to work or they go somewhere and you suddenly feel lighter and with relief, but when they come back around, you feel sick and anxious. Is that a sign of a toxic or controlling person? Also, Miss Michele, when we get into arguments, he would always threaten to kick me out. Is that a sign of a controlling person? It feels so good to let this stuff off my chest. I know if I say it to him, he'll just get upset with me. Another thing, am I wrong for planning to move out? I want to move out, and that's one of my goals for this year. And I hope it will be this year I can get my own place. Am I wrong for moving out? I can't take this anymore. Every day is a struggle. Also, my brother would get upset or mad at me if I worked because I'm on a fixed income. But I want to work and I want to make more income and better myself. You can't do much on a fixed income. And you can't really so much as afford a place of your own on a fixed income. I just want to be a better person and change my life. I know if I work, he would get mad. Am I wrong to choose to work? I mean, that is my choice, isn't it? I have to leave the house when making certain phone calls to jobs and employment because I know if he knew, he would get upset and mad at me. I want to work. And one of my other goals this year is to have multiple streams of income. And the only way I can do that is if I move out. If I don't, I feel like I'm going to die an early grave, because there are times where I get so sick in my body and my stomach starts hurting. Don't get me wrong. I love my brother and I feel like he loves me sometimes, but I do question his love for me. Is this love or not? Is this cognitive dissonance? Because I feel like he loves me, but sometimes I question his love. I'm always walking on eggshells. I'll give you an example. One time I went and set up a bank account for myself and I didn't tell him. And when he found out, he was so mad, he told me to get out of his house. And there were times I had nowhere to go when he told me to get out of his house. He said I set up a bank account for myself and that I was going behind his back. But how is that going behind his back when that's my choice? Besides, when he gets a certain card, he doesn't tell me or discuss certain decisions with me about his personal decisions. And he's not supposed to, because that's his choices, his life. But he feels like I need to consult and ask for permission about every decision I need to make. But I'm 19. I'm not a child anymore, even though I don't feel grown, because I feel like I'm walking on eggshells and I'm not allowed to make certain decisions for myself without him getting upset. Am I wrong for planning on moving out? I just need my own space. Am I wrong? Am I allowed to feel this way? Please tell me I'm not crazy. Please tell me more about my situation and what you think your advice is and what is going on, because I'm having a hard time trusting myself again. Is this all in my head, or does all of this sound toxic? Am I allowed to feel this way after all he has done for me? Is he a narcissist? And what is your opinion and advice on the whole situation on me choosing to move out and get my own place? Is moving out and getting my own place wise or not when living with someone that may be toxic and controlling? I know moving out only stops the abuse from further happening, like you said, and I know I will need to get healing. What is your take on moving out and the whole situation? Please tell me I'm not crazy, because I feel I have been spun so much. I don't know what is what, and I have a hard time trusting myself. Wow. Okay. So first, I just want to say I'm so sorry to hear that you lost your mom and that you're in a situation that is really, really hard emotionally and psychologically on you. That being said, let's dive into some of your questions. And my goal in this video is not to tell you what to do, but to help you to know how you can begin trusting yourself again. Because without that inner trust, you will continue to be spun by anyone you talk to in any direction they so choose. And you will always feel the confusion that you're feeling now. But when you learn how to trust yourself inside, that goes away. So that being said, let's dive in. You mentioned so many different scenarios and asked, is this abuse or not? So some of the things that you talked about was walking on eggshells, having to hide normal, healthy things that you're doing, like talking to a potential employer, or making your own bank account, or doing things that you enjoy. Anytime you have to hide normal things from somebody, there is some kind of control and manipulation going on. And I think if you really checked in with yourself and asked yourself, do I think this is abuse? Do I think this is healthy? Your inner self, your inner gut instinct is going to tell you the right answer. But that's when that lack of trust kicks in. And the reason why we tend to lack trust and we can't kind of hold firm to our reality is because you might have shared with this other person your feelings. You might have tried to explain to them how you feel, but they will spin it and spin it. And sometimes, let me tell you, when a narcissist is explaining why they do certain things, they can make it sound so believable. They can make it sound so good, and they can make you doubt your own reality. It's an art, and they have that art mastered. So what happens is, let's say you feel hurt, like they're being abusive to you, and then you point that out to them. They'll probably get angry and spin it as if you're not appreciating all they do for you. It sounds like you're saying you're on a fixed income. I'm imagining that he is getting a part of that fixed income. I don't know. You didn't specify that, but for him to not want you to work, he's benefiting either by taking whatever that fixed income is, or by controlling you, it's helping him to regulate himself, right? So if he's high on that scale, and I'm going to be honest, I can't diagnose anybody. And I want to encourage you. I want to encourage you to not get caught up in a label, because when you are striving after the label, right, you're looking at this list of behaviors, and you're judging the narcissist or the possible potential narcissist by this list. And what you're not doing is checking in with what your inner self is telling you. Okay. So rather than using an external list, you use your inner self by asking yourself, how do I feel about that? Do I think that that's a healthy behavior? Is this good for me? When he acts this way, what do I think about that? What would I tell a friend if they were in a relationship like that? Would I view that as something healthy? And start strengthening your connection to yourself. We tend to lose that because we've brought our perspectives to the other person. And in healthy relationships, when you share your feelings, they validate it, right? But a narcissist doesn't validate it. And they also make you feel like you're not allowed to hold on to your reality unless they agree with you. So that wakes up this craving and this need to be validated, this need to be, to have your point of view seen, heard, and cared about. And they don't give that to you. So you're chasing it. And while you're in that state of mind, it's impossible to feel grounded. What you have to realize is that you can be the person that validates your reality. There's a craving that comes up, like, is this real? Is this bad? And your adult mind, you're still very young. So you still have a lot of child mind, which, by the way, trauma survivors, we wind up getting stuck in our child mind for a long time. It has nothing to do with age. But being young, your adult mind still isn't even fully formed, right? It's not until we're 25 that we have complete access to our adult brain. But that doesn't mean that you can't start strengthening your ability to kind of see the emotional needs that are coming up in you, viewing those emotional needs almost like a child that needs to be validated, that needs to understand what in the world is going on, and then shifting into your adult mind and validating those emotions that are coming up. So in part, we have to kind of start seeing ourselves, and can be a little bit complicated understanding it, but in the course, reparenting and healing the inner child wounds, which I'll leave the link here for you or for anybody else that's interested, I talk about how to begin seeing yourself in pieces, like as your child mind and as your adult self. Once we can do that, we can begin healing and kind of helping the child pieces in us. We can start learning how to use our adult mind to help those child pieces. And it's a really great course that we did in the School of Transformation, but it really helps you to understand the value of being able to do that. So how this will help you is when that piece of you comes up and says, I'm scared. I feel like I'm going crazy. You can shift into your adult mind and say, well, that makes sense. This is not healthy. One day he's nice, one day he's mean. This is like, I never know what to expect. It's understandable that you feel that way. And then you ask yourself, what do I need? What do I need so that I can stay grounded and so that I can start creating the life that I want? The answer might be, I need to move out. Now, here's the part that is challenging. When you want to move out, there's a piece of you that still comes from the child mind that thinks I'm doing something bad or I'm doing something wrong because my brother gets mad. So there's some kind of a paired association in your nervous system that if you make a decision and somebody's mad about it, that's bad. The reality is, and this is where we're shifting into more of our adult mind, is that sometimes people get mad. Sometimes they get upset. Sometimes they disagree with us and they refuse to see reason. We don't like it when people do that, but they're allowed. Like, he's allowed to be himself. Even if you don't like those things that he's doing, he's allowed to criticize. He's allowed to say it's a bad decision. But just because that's his perspective doesn't mean that you have to have the same perspective as him. You have to let go of needing him to be on the same page as you. And you can view his perspective as, well, that's his opinion. He's allowed to have it. I'm allowed to want something for my life. I'm allowed to do things. I am an adult and I'm allowed to start creating my life. Now, you're in a really hard situation because it sounds like anything that you do to better yourself, he's going to try to sabotage for whatever reason. And I don't know what exactly his motives are, but it really sounds like he does not want to let you go. He does not want you to have your own life. He does not want you to grow and move forward and, create the life that you want. He has an agenda for whatever reason. And so you're going to have to figure out, what can I do so that I can start carving my own life despite his support? And the more you strengthen your ability to trust yourself when you're making decisions, the easier that will be. And your body tells you. If you notice, when he's not around, you feel great. That's your body, your subconscious, your inner self telling you, I feel good away from this person. When you start getting sick around somebody, you are forcing yourself to go or do more than your inner self feels is best. Our body starts letting us know that we're doing something that isn't good for us. It's trying to get your attention. So you will be able to start making better decisions when you start listening. I don't even want to say better decisions. You will be able to start trusting your decisions when you really strengthen the ability to listen to what your body is saying. When you trust your logic, you're seeing things very clearly. But what I'm hearing is, unless you get that validation, you're not allowing yourself or giving yourself permission to trust yourself. I could tell you, yes, this is this, and yes, that is that. But if I do that, then I'm making you dependent on something outside of self to feel empowered. Okay. But if I tell you, trust yourself, listen to yourself, and you start developing that like a muscle, then you won't need anybody's validation. People might get upset with your decisions and you'll be okay with that. You won't like it, but you'll be like, that sucks. He's not supporting me, but I'm supporting me. And I'm so glad that I'm trusting myself, and I'm so proud of myself for creating the life that I want. And you will start to see things change. So bottom line, when you're asking, should I move out? If you really listen, I think the answer is super clear. I think you know the answer, but for some reason you think that you need somebody else's, validation or permission to allow yourself to trust that answer. But I encourage you to start trusting yourself, using your body as a way to understand what's going on inside and what you need. If it doesn't feel good inside, asking yourself, what is my body trying to communicate with me? Why am I feeling this way? What is this emotion trying to communicate to me? What do I need so that I can stay grounded? And I do encourage you to get some help, because a lot of what's going to help you to make these decisions, a lot of it has to do with breaking paired associations in our nervous system, which it sounds like there's a few of them that are creating this challenge for you. So it's about rebalancing your nervous system. It's about understanding the beliefs that are there. It's about learning how to trust yourself and how to not get sucked into somebody else's toxic reality. And those are challenging things for adults. Imagine a young adult as well. So look into getting some help with that, because the stronger you are with you, the healthier your relationship is with you, the easier it will be to navigate those waters that you're in. Okay, so I know I'm kind of going around in a circle as to what to do and what not to do. And that's because honestly, I would encourage you to never just make a decision based on what somebody else tells you to do. I would encourage you to strengthen your ability to start trusting yourself. And again, repetition for emphasis. It starts with asking yourself, what am I feeling? What do I think is best? Why do I think that's best? And what do I need so that I can trust myself? Start kind of pulling from within, getting the resources from within. In the beginning, it will feel uncomfortable, but with time, it does get better. But these are huge red flags. When you feel sick around a certain person, your body's trying to let you know something. When you feel like you have to hide normal things, that is control and manipulation. When you feel like you're not allowed to have your feelings, that's a sign of gaslighting. When you feel like you're not allowed to make a decision unless somebody else okays it, that's control, manipulation, and gaslighting all wrapped up in one big manipulative, toxic. Didn't want to do that. That's one sign. I mean, those are some big signs of unhealthy dynamics. Okay. You have a good head on your shoulders. Start trusting it. And I will say, prepare yourself because he will get worse. He will not be happy that you are getting healthier, stronger, empowered, and acting as an authentic individual. If he's high on the scale, he won't like that. He will want you to do what he wants you to do. That's a sign. Anytime you're with somebody and they don't let you be your authentic self and strive after what you really want to strive after, that's a sign of something that's not healthy. At the same time, expect it. If he gets mad, expect him to get mad. Expect him to get worse as a means of trying to control you. His getting mad does not mean you're doing something wrong. It means that you are not staying stuck in the role that he wants you to stay stuck in. But I don't think it's a role that you want to be in. So trust yourself and one day at a time. And I really encourage you to get some help to strengthen your inner self.